Hi everyone, I'm Donna Stellhorn, your practical astrologer, and today we are talking about the solar eclipse. It's on September 21. It's at 29 degrees of Virgo. Now, 29 is a critical degree, and this is a harvest eclipse, so that makes it particularly intense. So let's talk about it. So this eclipse and the eclipse we had earlier in September are the exact same eclipses that we had in September 2006. So think back to 2006, what was going on? What were the obstacles and challenges? What were the opportunities that were happening? Because those are things that could be happening again this time. And by the way, I do readings so we can look at your chart and look at specifically what's ahead for you. There's a link in the description. So, of course, eclipses bring big change, and that affects the world. And the theme of the eclipse, which is based on the sign of the eclipse, and in this case, the degree of the eclipse, can give us a lot of information about things that could go on in the world. Now, a lot of these things are happening already. They are just reaching a very noticeable and critical stage. But what's more important is that we can derive information for our own lives from what's going on with this eclipse and in the world. So a Virgo eclipse is always about health and well-being. And so during this time, we may see some big news stories about what is going on in the world when it comes to health, disease, infections, just general well-being of people. And what we need to think about for ourselves is, how are we taking care of ourselves? How are we taking care of our bodies? Because this 29-degree eclipse says that if there are things that you know you need to be doing and you're not doing them, now is the time to start, because the energy here is really loud. It's like a megaphone saying, take care of yourself. A Virgo eclipse is about agriculture and the food supply, and so oftentimes with the Virgo eclipse, we are going to see rising food costs or even shortages. And again, you may have already been experiencing some of this, but this is also that now it becomes more extreme. Now it becomes more noticeable. And the message for us as individuals is, how can we become more self-sufficient? Now, in a society, it's very hard to be 100% self-sufficient, but we can learn to cook at home, keep a well-stocked pantry, to connect with local restaurant owners or local farmers and support what they're doing in our communities. A Virgo eclipse also talks about the people in general, the condition of the population, and so that can lead to some, expressing and civil unrest, and we are seeing that again already. And so it's very important to express our opinions and to be out in the world saying our truth. But this is also a reminder that in our own lives, we need to look at what's not working and make some changes to figure out, what we're doing that is something that we would normally rebel against. And so then we say to ourselves, okay, this is something that has to change. Also, a Virgo eclipse is about how large companies and the government itself just works on a daily basis. And so it's quite likely that we're going to hear a lot more about jobs, how many jobs are being created, or how few are being created, layoffs and things like that. And so that reminds us, that bigger picture reminds us to take a look at how we're doing our daily lives and what we need to subtract from our daily lives, what we need to add to our daily lives to make it better, to put ourselves more on the path that we want to be on. And that might involve, meditation or journaling. That might involve getting into the community, meeting your neighbors, and connecting with people. Now, this eclipse affects those people who are born between the 14th of the month and the 27th of the month. I'm going to put the specific dates on the screen, and that means that your sun is getting hit by this eclipse. Now, of course, a conjunction, a square, or an opposition would be the strongest hit, but even a semi-sextile is going to affect you. And so this hit to your sun means that some aspect of your identity is shifting. That is that you are deciding to leave an old part of you behind and embrace something new. Additionally, it's very important to check the planets and as well as a couple of important points, and that would be the ascendant and the midheaven. Those in particular could affect your job, your living arrangement, your relationship. And so look for any planets or points that are between 25 degrees and 29 degrees, or between 0 and 4 degrees. All of those indicate a hit. Of course, personal planets and the moon are going to be a stronger hit. Some of the outer planets like Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are going to be more generational, so people around your age will be experiencing a similar thing. And I also wanted to mention that if you have anything at early Libra, so that's 0 from 4 degrees, that's actually a conjunction with that eclipse, with this eclipse at 29 Virgo. So that's often missed because of the change of signs, but this is a very potent hit. Now, eclipses allow us an opportunity to see our situation very honestly and make some changes. And this can be something you're quite conscious of, that you've been saying to yourself, I need to change this, or you're already in motion towards it. It also can bring a kind of, oh, the emperor has no clothes type of experience where we say, I didn't realize that I've been fooling myself. I didn't realize that I was not paying attention to this as much as I was. And so then it's time to get real. And so either of those things can help us move forward. Okay, Scorpio, this solar eclipse is in this area of your life where it represents your friends and the community at large. And so there may be some opportunities here to meet new people. Maybe you've been wishing to expand your friendship circle. Perhaps it's time for you to get into an organization or get out of an organization. Maybe you have had a leadership role in an organization, but all of those responsibilities for so long, it's now time for you to turn that over to someone else. But the more important part of this solar eclipse for you is this can bring up a realization that some or a major dream or aspiration you have still has not come true, and that you need to take some action, either to say, yeah, I'm done with that dream, it's no longer viable, or why am I still procrastinating on this, or what is the block, or what is standing in my way to achieve this. And because oftentimes these goals, if they're broken down into small enough increments, we can, over a period of time, accomplish so much. And it doesn't matter, I'm no spring chicken here, so it doesn't matter how old you are. If anything, these days, we know that, people are living to 100 and still doing stuff. They're still running in marathons and things. So this is to take a look at what the dream is and say, either, yeah, it's no longer valid in my life, it's no longer something that I even want, or I'm going to really do something and make this happen. So one of the things too about this placement and the placement of Mars, which is at a critical degree and is about to go into your own sign, is that you're not wanting a lot of rules right now. And so even when I suggest things, you may push back on that, like, I don't want to do that right now. Because you're looking for such a sense of freedom and being able to do what you want. And that's totally understandable. But I'm not saying that it's necessary for you to pursue something particular. I'm saying that if you feel something is undone, an eclipse at 29 degrees is the time to do it. And a way that you can uncover more information about this eclipse is through an astrology reading. Astrology readings are very helpful. They give you information about yourself, they can uncover your hidden talents and abilities, and they can also give you a view of what's ahead. So I do readings, there's a link in the description. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, It's very interesting about that Mars that I just mentioned because it's going into your sign, and that's going to energize you a great deal. Mars, when it travels through Scorpio, is very powerful, so you don't get that conflicted interest that we see as Mars travels through other signs. So because of that, if this is something that you want, pursuing it is actually pretty easy. Any obstacles just seem to fall away. So that's not quite right now. So that is pretty soon, which is great because meeting someone on an eclipse can be a little bit like walking a landmine field, because at any moment some dramatic, exciting thing can happen. And sometimes that's good and sometimes it's not. So if you are looking for new love, consider doing it towards the end of this 2-week period, or wait until we're outside of the eclipse time, and then you have some opportunities. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Venus is making an inconjunct with Pluto. That is, the two of you are coming together with your different sets of expertise and abilities, and you can create some harmony by, like working together, finding how, oh, I'm really good at this part of this, maybe the budget, and your partners are super good at itineraries, you can come together. The important note is to not tread on each other's territories. And so when you do that, when you say, this is what you're good at, I'm going to let you do that, I'm going to trust that you can do that, that's when you have some harmony. Now, when it comes to your money, you pull money from Jupiter, which is uniquely placed in this chart because Jupiter is making no aspects. And that means Jupiter is his own man. He can do what he wants, whenever he wants, or own woman. And it's like going rogue. And sometimes that's the thing that can really set things in motion. And so thinking about how you normally make money, how you normally approach sales or marketing or any of those, and what could you do if you didn't have the rules on you, if you could go rogue? That's the energy that you're doing. It is one where you say, I'm going to maybe go radical, or I'm going to really tailor this to my tastes and just sell to someone exactly like me. And it's a big world, so you could still find a market for that. And so utilize this energy, look for the out of the box, the innovative ideas, the ideas that hadn't occurred to you before. That's what to choose. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, as I said, Jupiter's not making any aspects. Mercury is traveling through that area of intuition and help from the universe. So this is a good time to go around and refresh your feng shui cures, sweep off the porch, do those spiritual, magical things that help attract money. Basically putting yourself in the prosperity mindset. That can really help at this time. And then when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be a paycheck, even though there's no aspect between Mercury and Jupiter, this is where the eclipse is sitting. So this is your strongest area. And that means that you have opportunities to make more money through your job or through a different job. So if you think to yourself, oh, my current job would never give me a raise, that might be a sign with this eclipse energy that it's time to move on, because this is an eclipse about finishing up or endings. So, but if you say, okay, I've done all of this, and then the last thing to do is to say to the boss, okay, here's my accomplishments, I need a raise, then that's the time. This is the opportunity to do that. So if you were given the chance to completely change one part of your life, what would it be? Take a moment and think about this, because oftentimes that answer will tell you where the eclipse is falling in your chart. And so when we have an eclipse, especially an eclipse that affects the sun in the chart, what gets affected is how you describe yourself to yourself and to others. Then less than a month later, Venus opposes the eclipse degree, and that happens on October 1st. And that's going to be some sort of maybe announcement about commerce, about prices, about goods, because Venus rules the Taurus energy, which is the stuff that we want to have. Now, probably the 410 hit is considered one of the most stressful because it is about home and career. And of course, you can mitigate a lot of this energy by leaning in and making as many changes as you can in those areas.